I have a housing hack for you, and this is not a gimmick. This is a way to use real life strategies to reduce the closing costs or reduce the interest rate. National average rates have been in the sixes or sevens, but you can buy a property with a rate in the 4 or 5% range and significantly reduce your payments. Let me show you how to use these strategies so that you are a more confident buyer or seller, because this actually works for both sides of the coin. I'm going to share my screen here. We're going to go through some math. It's going to take a little bit of time, but I promise these strategies will help you feel more confident as you're out in the housing market. So what we're going to go through today is a standard purchase price with no seller credit versus taking a price reduction, a closing cost credit, or permanently or temporarily buying down the interest rate. We've got a lot of math to run through. I'm going to try to do it as efficiently as we can. And first of all, I wanted to show you, I'm using a real property to map this out. This is a gorgeous new construction listing that Lindsey Rothschild has with River Flows Realty. It's listed at 714,500. It's at 65 Lovefield Street in Easthampton. And the property, I'm going to use all of these numbers for the budget that we run through together right now. So you can see a real life example. Look at these pictures. This is so awesome. I went to the broker's open and it is just absolutely lovely. So much light in the property. And there's actually an open house at 10 o'clock this weekend on March 8th. So let's run through our budget here. Standard purchase price, if you were to buy this house at 714,500 and you didn't ask the seller for any kind of concession, a concession is like a price reduction or a seller credit, you'd be paying $4,400 a month on your monthly payment, and you'd be paying about $155,000 out of pocket. That's how most people approach making an offer, right? They just think about the price, but you can think about this more creatively. You could ask for a price reduction. So 15,000 price reduction is the next column that I have here. That brings your payment down by about $80 a month and your out of pocket down by about $3,000 a month. You'd think that it would be more of a savings, right? Than $80 and $3,000 out of pocket for a 15,000 price reduction. So let's think about how we can more creatively use that $15,000 reduction here. So if you were to use that $15,000 as a seller closing cost credit, you could do that and it would come right off of the closing costs. So you wouldn't have any monthly savings, right? Because you're still borrowing the same amount, but you'd have 15,000 saved out of pocket. And that can be really impactful to a lot of people. Now, the other thing is that this same thing could happen if the seller doesn't want to come down below asking price. And this is really where your real estate agent comes in. If it's a competitive situation, you may want to offer above asking price and then get that seller closing cost credit, because it's going to net off of the seller's proceeds. Meaning, in this illustration, the seller's only netting $699,500. So it's really important to consult your real estate agent, but this can still be a great tool if you're worried about how much money you're going to bring into closing and not having enough savings. You don't have to take it off the purchase price. You could take it off of the closing costs as a seller closing cost credit. The next solution we want to solve is how to get that monthly payment lower. So in this scenario, we're using that same $15,000 credit, but instead we're using it to buy the interest rate down. So you can see here, the rate has come down from 6.875 to 5.875, and that's going to save you $375 a month, $374 a month on your monthly payment. Your out of pocket is still going to be the same. So no savings out of pocket, right? Because you're still offering the same price, same costs, everything. You're using that closing credit to buy the interest rate down. Huge impact on the monthly payment, a difference between $4,400 a month or $4,000 a month. And psychologically, everyone wants a 5 in front of their rate instead of a 6 or a 7, right? So win-win for the seller and the buyer. And same thing, you may need to go above asking to get that credit, but even if you did that, you're still going to see a big savings on the monthly payment here. The next option to get the rate lowered this is how you really get a reduced rate. It's called a temporary interest rate buy down. And when you do this during the first year, you're actually buying the rate down to 2% lower than what the note rate would have been. So 4875 in this case. And then on year 2, it's going to go up to 5875. And on year 3, it goes up to the actual standard market rate. So why would you do this? You're sort of buying yourself time and you're getting those lower monthly payments in the beginning because a lot of people think rates are going to come down and that you're going to be able to refinance pretty quickly in the next couple of years. So you're kind of banking on the fact that you think rates are going to drop down to the, fives range or just below 6.875 so that you can then refinance for the rest of the lifetime of the loan. If you can't though, or if rates go in the other direction, you just want to make sure you're comfortable with this standard monthly payment, the $4,400 a month. But during year 1, you're going to save $730 a month. And then during year 2, you're going to save $374 a month. So for 24 months, you're actually saving $13,000 in your overall monthly payment costs that you would otherwise be paying if you went with just the standard 30-year fixed term. So think about all of these different scenarios. When you're crafting an offer, whether you're the buyer or the seller, these can be really useful tools so that both sides win. And again, it's really property specific. So you want to consult your real estate agent to determine, is this a competitive property where to use one of these strategies, we're going to want to go even higher above asking price to get that credit back? Or is it a property that's been sitting for a little while? So maybe going in at the asking price and getting the concession would still be possible. Ask us about any specific properties. This is just a general scenario. Rates change daily and throughout the day. Your specific terms will be based on your actual financials, but this at least gives a really good roadmap of what's possible. So consider those strategies when it comes to reducing your costs or reducing your interest rate, and contact any of us at the Applied Mortgage team to learn more.